our curse powers combine, Hypoc, maybe we'll get something spicy.
Well, I mean, it's a pretty heavily Western plane, so there definitely is a possibility for it. We'll have to wait and see. Unfortunately, again, you know, similar situation with the Southern Plane on Erangel on that second game. There's going to be some teams that can't get to their hometown or to familiar looting ground at least. So eyes are going to be towards potentially some overlaps. Not there's going to be too many, but northeast side of the map is not necessarily a very congested area early on Miramar, especially in this lobby, but I'm really expecting too much. I'm seeing a couple of teams gravitate towards Leonis, and not really too surprising there with what teams it is, but doesn't look like we're going to have any overlaps on that side. And elsewhere, actually looking pretty clear. Everybody's going to be able to get themselves some breathing space initially.
So here's the question, Hypoc. We've been seeing a lot of islands. Are we going to potentially see a prison island, Los Higos, with this plane path?
I mean, I've only ever seen one, and it was in a screen. So
I've never. I don't think that, I know that they've happened in competitive PUBG across the world, but I don't think that we've seen a specific one in there in North America before, which I would love to see. Doesn't matter. We're going to go El Pozo, your old home territory, so I'll let you kind of break down what we're about to look at.
Well, the important stuff here is obviously, and again, you can treat this one. The early positioning is the biggest factor here. There's a lot of terrain that becomes, you know, untraversable, if I can make up a word for us right now, Matt. But obviously, getting to this circle early is crucial. Does depend heavily on where Circle 2 goes, because there's a couple of spots of that unplayable terrain that we talk about that we know always becomes a factor. So looking for lots of teams to try and center up on this one. Anybody that hasn't got an opportunity to really get some decent positioning, are going to look for obviously those wide wraps that we talk about, where teams obviously opt to try and get into the least congested side of the circle, which here really with the plane going south to north makes it very difficult, because it only really leaves the eastern side that's going to be kind of open, and anything that really centers up, you've got the problems of getting across power grid, you know, getting through San Martin. Those are all things that you don't want to have to deal with in Circle 2, especially if time's not in your favor.
You can see a couple of teams right now. We just saw Shoot to Kill just a second ago, finally not having to traverse the entirety of the world to be inside the circle. Most of their players inside this very first circle, as we can see it lined up. Duel's in a little bit of an interesting spot, and that's why our observers are showing you right now. They're running a 2-2 split, but they have a little bit of T8 that might be encroaching in between them. I doubt T8's going to go back down that direction. It's not really their looting patterns, but this is our furthest team that's going to have to traverse this time around, as Duel's been, again, just very consistent with finding ways to get into late game strong circle positions. It's kind of their recipe for success. We were kind of talking about gas cans, early skirmishes, get points every single time you see something move. Duel tends to be a little bit more like you were talking about before we started the first round, a little bit more methodical in their approach into the circles.
Yeah, they do indeed. As actually seeing Dodge light up the kill feed, and that is a fight for dead center in this. We've seen Veritas make it here early before on a similar circle last week, and actually D-Treat's going to fall straight away. Jazz is still down, but this is an interesting move from Dodge. Getting away from Pozo this quickly is actually huge for them, and they're going to get the upper hand in this fight. Keenan, though, actually going to find Danny a little bit overzealous with the jump through the doorway into the stable here. This whole time, I think the res is actually coming across in the long build, and Keenan's got mountains of work to do here if he wants to stop this push. And
oh no, gas cans rolling up right back behind it. They want to get involved in what's going on. We told you guys these guys like to scrap. Keenan's going to go ahead and have to drop down. Not a lot of reinforcements for him at the time. Michael just narrowly makes it around that hillside, or building, I'm sorry about that, but Oldest is going to have a little bit of an angle to play and kind of puts a stop to the fight that's going on. Grenade's going to land from Danny G. I almost said Kenny G there for some reason. That's going to be Kenan that goes down inside of this, so it's starting to turn up a little bit more favored back over towards the original defenders. Veritas still on the hunt right now, just kind of chasing after Finna, trying to see if maybe he can get one more kill on top of this one. Goes around, tries to peek back around on the angle, is at least going to get that one more out of it. Going to step up and go ahead and get that flush very quickly. You can see the gas can starting to flank back around, but ATC also looking like they might start to advance along this position.
I mean, really, this is the byproduct of what I was talking about. Getting to this early and getting not necessarily dead center. I mean, I'm surprised to really see a team full fighting over this for Circle 1. But Gascan's pulling up to third party this. Again, we talked about this in the previous map. Straight away, they peel away from this. This early aggression, the way they're looking to capitalize on, not necessarily complacency, but this situation awareness is huge from Gascans. And again, it's so good to be able to mention something and have so many examples of which to talk about it, because this again is, we don't see teams doing this, Matt.
Yeah, I mean, okay, we talked about the fact that Gascans is a run and gun team, but there's a strategy to their madness and how they bring it forward. They're not just W keying everything that moves around them. You can see this. They heard the firefight, quickly moved over there, got involved whenever they realized, okay, it might be a little bit too risky to make the push towards Dodge's position. Instead, retreated back away from point. Speaking of retreating, looks like see Duel trying to crest back down this hillside, get a little bit more distance from T8. We saw them a little while ago. The rest of Duel actually starting to come back along this angle, saying if maybe they might need to provide a little bit of reconnaissance for what's happening up on top of this hill. May have to find that T8 might find themselves in a little bit of a rough spot due to their positioning right now. And yep, Willie's going to go ahead and find Zealot real quickly, get the shots back over towards him. Now it's a little bit more problematic as Steezy is going to be back down that hillside, not capable of providing a lot of real firing cover just due to the nature of this hillside. If this grenade connects, it's just going to be on Steezy to have to run, and that looks like a real good toss. Just a little bit short based off of positioning. They do get the res up, but now if they can make it back down that hillside, Steezy can provide a little bit of cover, but Willie is just going to continue to keep raining in grenade and grenade. So that means it's also going to be cherry picking that one up. And Steezy, it's time to go, buddy.
Yeah, really good stuff from Duel here. Again, this is leading on from, I mean, Duel dropping so split. Tactical 8, one of the teams that kind of dropped down to the south side of Leonis, and I mean, really just getting caught off guard. But this spread from Duel has been really fantastic to kind of punish Tactical 8. Steezy is going to make it away, so Duel probably not going to get the 4th kill point on the board, but a good start for them nonetheless. Back over, I mean, we have lots of teams in close proximity. We're at the 7-minute mark, and there's really only 2 full teams now. Duel and 1 are open, they're outside. Everybody else, you've got to say, is in the central 30 to 40% of this circle now. And again, fully expecting that, with this being the sort of circle you want to get to early.
Yeah, you were talking about that beforehand. You were like, position is key in this. I mean, this is your home ground territory. That's why I was letting you talk about it.
This is worse than
exactly
I thought it would be.
Everybody's already hanging out. It's just like the only dot towards the center is just going to be the crater, and everybody is just all around the positioning towards the center, stretching back down towards the south. The north, almost entirely open. Same can be said for the west, and really to the southeast as well. It's just really illusion. Not illusion, sorry about that. One eye open, and it's going to be Duel that are not inside the safe zone yet, as well as Steezy, last one up for T8, that might stop along that point, but everybody else is very centered right now. So if we see a hard shift away from a central position, we could see some trouble.
Yeah, I mean, because there's only one team north of Pozo right now, and that's Illusion. Everybody else is south of Pozo. If you were to draw a line across horizontally on this map, which is crazy to me. There's so much congestion down towards the power grid, everything west of that, down towards Monte Nuevo. It's going to be pretty crazy if we don't see a central circle. And I guess unless this goes hard south, really, it's going to be wild. But one open do make it in on the east side. That was what I was saying. The least congested side here. Oath has got themselves a decent spot up on power grid. We know that they like to play this area on a circle like this. They tend to slowly move through the terrain to the west of here, and actually the circle does pop all the way up. I'm sure we'll be able to take a quick look at it in a second, but it did pull all the way to the northeast, which actually centers up just north of Fable's position. So lots of teams now need to get into this circle, but the problem being, look at what they have to come through. You don't want to drive through that valley. You do not want to go down that road that ATC are holding. You then don't want to go on the road that comes directly east out of Pozo. So look for a lot of teams to try and wrap here.
I mean, Crater Fields is also its own set of problems. So, you either play it super brave and a little stupid and just gun it down the road and hope that there aren't people already stacked up there. But let's be honest, 55 alive, you got to assume there's going to be. Or like you're talking about, long wraps all the way back up next to La Cabrera. Maybe I wouldn't be surprised if we see a couple of teams opt into that positioning. Specifically, we're also going to see a lot of high ground advantages coming into play. There are a lot of mountains that are really going to define movement capabilities for a couple of these teams, and teams already in position. There's a little bit of a mess going on just around Shoot to Kill's position back over towards the south, as ATC is going to be running right by Fabled. A couple of shots going to go through. Oath is going to be around along this position as well. Following up back behind this, it's going to be Soniqs, Gas Cans, and going to be Dodge. It's also coming up back behind them. All of them already inside the safe zone, but none of them happy based off of positioning. Teams that are opting really far and that long wrap over towards the north looks like it's going to be Zenith, Hardships, and potentially Comets. So a couple of these teams moving very early, while they're going to be very close to other teams, are at least going to find themselves a little bit of a dip like ATC has to at least get themselves a touch of breathing room.
Yes, I'm just taking a look at the map now. Obviously, I know aren't going to be too many teams sending it towards each other. SDK did set up that split. You can see it on the mini-map here. 2 up on the high ground, Luke and Halo, and then Unsilver and Kurt down at the compound in the roadside. Luke actually going to find Aguila at distance there. He's one of the players playing on the high ground, but I mean, this is the situation I was about to bring up. Hardships running into Zenith. But the problem is Comets are over west of this as well. So if this fight actually breaks out here, I mean, looks like Zenith are going to prioritize just moving straight in, not going to try and gatekeep Hardships. But this forces the Hardships off to the north. They don't want to trail Zenith in rotation. I mean, if Comets don't have a good read on this, they could be the ones that run into it. But hold that thought for the time being. Soniqs 4-man push onto the 2-man from Dodger. That nade rolls right into the front room.
They all just leaned up against that wall. They're all stacked up inside there. You can see starting to retreat out going, hey, maybe 4 of us in this room is a little bit of a bad idea. Throwable's now going to start coming out from the Soniqs to force Lamplot back onto a different angle. Looks back down. Good shot, but a good toss coming out from Mime. That was beautifully cooked to go ahead and drop Lamplot. Now it's just going to be Adam playing right back behind that touch of a crate there. See if maybe he has a firing line back over towards it. Instead, just going to decline to try to get information and see if maybe he can just listen for the pitter-patter of footsteps around him and use that to try to find his firing angle. But looks like Soniqs already have a good idea on where he's going to be at. Starting to make a little bit of a play based off. You can see Throwable starting to rain down next to Adam. That one not cooked just enough. Gets a little bit of damage off. Gonna have to be careful in how he plays this. Gets a little bit more space on the other side of it. Looks like Tig has a pretty good idea what's going on. Spots out the feet. Goes ahead and goes for the spray. And now you can see them kind of surveying what's going on. Danny G was up at the top of that one. Not going to be too happy. Gas Cans trying to third party yet again. A couple of bullets from Tiggleton are going to force him back behind that hillside. It looks like we might go ahead and slow down for just a second as the new circle has popped. And let's go ahead and hard shift in a different direction and make our way back over towards the west this time.
Oh, my God.
Go ahead, Color. Break down what's about to happen because it's about to be chaos.
I'll tell you what's about to happen is we have 2 areas that are unplayable. Well, what's considered unplayable in this, and the number of possible circles coming out of this is not pretty. It's not pretty at all. The other thing is a lot of teams over-rotating on that previous circle. Now you can see how much space there is and how many teams there are now outside the new circle. So that position we just saw, Soniqs in pretty good spot, but it is next to that area I was talking about. There's a large amount of unplayable terrain there. So got to expect the circle to shift away with that with phase 4. Zenith currently running the gauntlet through that 2-2 split from SDK that they're still holding on to right now. So
well navigated.
Yeah,
they managed to avoid a lot of that. I mean, there was good firing lines for shoot to kill. ATC going to go ahead and roll back over next to Fabled. I was going to go ahead and try to line up some shots, but Sharp Shot just spins that one back around on her. That one hurt a little bit. Hexete, looks like Rip also looking back over towards that angle. Orcus did go down, but should be a quick res onto that. Sharp Shot going to be the point man onto it. Zenith looks like they're going to go ahead and hold down the complex just on the other side of the road as a quick rush in coming out from Fabled. Quick exchange back and forth between that one, and a Sharp Shot does go down while he was looking to try to flush out. There's going to be Hella on top of this one, so now a little bit more problematic for ATC as they just have themselves a little bit of a dip, but Zenith says, hey, there's a party, and I don't think that anybody invited us. We're going to go ahead and try to pick up a couple of points for ourselves. Zenith starting to make a little bit of a flank around the side of this, and Fabled in a bad spot, and let's be honest, ATC's in a bad spot, but with the push coming out the way it has, we haven't seen a full commit coming up from Zenith, so this is really just 3 duos just trying to fight it out, and Zenith goes, okay, maybe that's a bit too much, retreats away from it.
Yes. Interesting decision there. Obviously, ATC managing to get back up to 2 on their feet as well. Leaves kind of a 2v2 situation over the concrete here between them and Fabled, and I mean, Zenith really just going to try and wait on it. Norkis actually landed a good nade upstairs. Rip going to fall. I think we're going to see the push out. Actually, the second one comes in. 2 great nades from Norkis there. Fabled will fall in 13th place. And Zenith now, I guess, going to opt to coexist a little bit. I'm looking at the map. I think this has to come hard east. I'm pretty sure it has to go hard east. So this is definitely a priority area of the map. Actually, Oath will send it straight down towards that compound as well, Matt. Look.
It's just everybody wants to be a part of what's happening here because I think that they have the same read that you've got going on. Any trolls in chat now eliminated, going down in 12th, and Oath just comes in and just takes this win with dominance. Zenith now have to be a little bit more hesitant having Oath on the other side of this. Rumblers now coming up back behind Zenith as well, playing closer towards the hillside. We do have a small fight that's been going on between, looks like Duel and Gas Cans. As you know what, we just need more hard shifts in our life. Where are we going this time, Hypoc? Let's just go ahead and cut up towards the north. So now this fight that's happening over here has to end real fast.
Yeah. Yeah, this is an ugly rotation for anybody that has to come up this hillside. I mean, STK, you can see on the map, they're in a great position. This fight with Duel and Gas Cans down here on the southern tip of the Pozo Mountain, so to say, I mean, kind of just this is trash time now. I mean, get these kill points, get out of there, because you got a lot of ground to cover to get into the next one.
Yeah, Duel's trying to get some damage control, but Gas Cans are going to just be like, nah, good connection on that grenade. Going to go ahead and send... I just love watching bodies roll down the hillside. I don't know why. It just makes me happy. Pat Caps does go down, but looks like should be a quick res coming back over for this. Keep in mind, while this has been a highly contested compound, it's not inside the circle. So both these teams now going to have to get a little bit of separation and make their way back over towards the hillside, at least towards the west. Rumblers going ahead and opting into moving right now. Looks like Zenith going to go ahead and do the same thing. It's allowing Pat Caps to get rezzed, and it looks like it's just going to be tailing back behind them. But that's kind of its own problem for Oath, is now they're just going to be kind of taking the scraps of whatever's left of the other teams that have moved in front of them. See a little bit of a position coming up from One Eye Open, as they are now starting to look back over about what's going on next. And then you can see Rumblers did move into this position. Shoot to Kill was kind of holding down the fort, but instead opts to play a little bit closer towards Cinder, surrendering that little bit of an edge, not wanting to get caught up in the skirmishes that are happening in this point. Rumblers have been having to contest with One Eye Open, so it looks like they're trying to get a little bit more of an aggressive positioning back along that line. Los looking back over towards that angle, creeping down along the low ground point for it. McCoy looks like he's got himself a vehicle, is just going to go ahead and reconnect with the rest, but Los could find himself an amazing flank from this, depending on how the angles play out.
Yeah, is that you're gonna... I mean, getting a position like this isn't necessarily the worst thing in a circle like this, because, I mean, ultimately, further on from here, not really going to have the opportunity to find too many kill points. So Rumbler's in a good spot now, I mean, as well, to get some damage onto SDK. Potentially, if they can clean that fire up. I think One Eye Open are maybe going to opt to send it down into the crater itself, but elsewhere, Zenith finally getting caught out. Bell landed some nice mini shots. Zenith will go down to 2 now.
Yeah, vehicle flipped over onto its side. It's always problematic, and especially in terrain like this, because you can just see how vertical it is as One Eye Open just goes rolling back down the hillside behind this. Couple of shots coming out from SDK over towards the Rumblers, going to connect with Waldo as well. I guess the most contested point that we're looking at right now is still just back over towards the east, where we see Shoot to Kill, Oath, going to be Rumblers, One Eye Open finally getting some distance and getting kind of a little bit of control over towards the north. There's a little bit of a potential for a skirmish back over towards the south, but really it's just high ground advantage, just decimating people that are trying to move through these low ground points and trying to make their way inside the circle. Oath does have themselves a little bit of a point that they can play, but you can see it's kind of a dip back over next to where Shoot to Kill and Rumblers have a little bit of a sight line, but it's at least safe enough for the time being. With the way circles have been going right now, Lord only knows where we're going next. I mean, at any given point, we could be going north, we could be going south. Who even knows from here on out? But Zenith is still making the gamble back over towards center, and it is going to pay off for him. So that fight that we saw kind of percolating for a little while back over towards the east and back over towards the south could both pop off at any given second, as Soniqs going to look like they're trying to move back over towards Gas Cans, who managed to get themselves a crate.
Yeah, and now, I mean, Rumbler's previously okay position is now pretty awful, to be honest with you, because SDK in a good position to hold them. But not only that, Oath just down off the minimap slightly southwest of Rumbler's position, and Oath can sit there for a long time. Meanwhile, actually, Soniqs and the gas cans get into it. Honey Badger will be the first to fall here. Soniqs still got 4 up. H will find the second. Voxic down now as well. So Soniqs looking to get some of these kill points, and that's going to give them a little bit of space on the map as well, Matt.
Yeah, this is just a good play coming up from Soniqs, running 2 on the high ground and 2 in the low ground, and just really finds the angle to do a ton of work back over towards the gas cans from fairly defended positions on top of that. So the reward for this is Soniqs is going to go ahead and get a lot of control back over towards the south. Really, not a lot of teams to really contest with. Comet's going to be the closest one to this. But back over towards the east, it's still going to be Oath, Rumblers, and Shoot to Kill trying to vie for some type of positioning. Shoot to Kill do have 2 of their members inside the safe zone, and Oath is really close to it, but they don't want to make their way up the hillside. Waldo just running right up into Oath's positioning, trying to get as close as possible. Going to find himself a nice little angle to work with, but has to be very careful of throwables. McCoy's still playing the high ground way back behind this, and there you go. It's going to be a nice little shift back down that hillside, and you can see it's going to be Snakers just lining that up, along with Balefrost just going to go ahead and tear into Rumblers, denying that movement. So now Rumblers looking back up the hillside, now going to have to contest with Shoot to Kill in a very fortified position. Going to go ahead and lose McCoy as well. Lowe still having to contest back behind him. You can see it has enemies at every single angle and still just trying to fight his way out of it. He knows that he's got a Trek in front of him and might just opt into surrendering this to the blue zone. I don't know. That just doesn't feel like Lowe's style. I wouldn't be surprised if he's going to try to go for one in this somehow, some way. You can see him metting up. But this is the fight right now. If he can manage to get any work off on anything that's happening, maybe we might see this kind of stall out and give Los the opportunity. But yeah, I think he's just going to have to surrender this one. We know Los wants to fight it, but let's be real. There's just not options to be had here.
Yeah, and the timing actually of Oath pulling away there could be beneficial for the Soniqs, to be honest with you, because, I mean, Oath still have an uphill battle, no pun intended, to get away from this position. If Soniqs can kind of get control of that ridge, Oath are in a pretty tricky spot, actually. They're not going to be able to advance much further up. There is another shack, but the fact that they've parked their vehicles here, they run the risk of Soniqs punishing them. Yeah, you see Snake is going to fall initially. Good shots from Shrimsy coming out there, and STK going to open up now as well, get involved in this fight. Oath could fall here.
Yeah, 3 good firing lines coming out. Shoot to Kill can kind of harass Soniqs, but they're really more caught up in what's going on with Oath right now. They know Oath is in a very, very disadvantaged position for their high ground, trying to make sure to deny anything while still taking a couple shots back over towards Soniqs to keep them from peeking back over onto this angle. Should be noted, Shoot to Kill can't move from this point. Good shot, gonna go ahead and connect, coming out onto Luke 12 from Mime. But while this is going on, One Eye Open hears this, knows that they're in a little bit of trouble as well, trying to creep up back behind what's going on.
No.
Gonna catch out Purdy Curdy. Good shots coming out from that one. All of these teams now going to have to move, and Soniqs trying to use that opportunity. Civ goes down as well. Good placement coming out from One Eye Open right now. Mon Hardy still playing back around the low ground. Alo spots him out, tries to go for the spray back over to it. Does connect. Takes him down. Winlow starting to play along the low ground. I don't know if Alo has the angle to work with. Got to be careful of those throwable. It is just him and Luke 12 playing back around onto this. But look at how he's clinging to this cliffside. He's trying to make sure that he goes for every single peek he can. But now it is just down to Luke. Peeking up back behind this angle. Getting the spray back over towards Winlow. And does manage to take down One Eye Open. But there was a big cost for it. And man, that blue's coming in. Luke, I don't know. This might be a little bit of a dangerous commitment to try to get this res.
It could be indeed, but I mean, at this point, it's going to be the point denial, to be quite honest. Reload, the last man standing from Oath, he has managed to make it into the east side of this new circle, but again, depending on where STK go, I don't think it's going to be too much of an issue for them. Reload's going to find that, actually. Zenith getting all the way up on top of the rock here. Actually, a pretty good spot.
We dare you to find us. Creep up behind us. I dare you.
With this ending, that is actually a nut spot.
I mean, it is ridiculously strong. Pretty close to center. Should be noted, Shoot to Kill did manage to get the res up, did manage to get to a vehicle, but this is what I was more concerned with. They still have to try to make their way inside the safe zone, and Zenith's high ground is just... it's so strong. Luke's going to hop back in the vehicle and see if maybe he can get away from this one. Good shot's going to go ahead and connect again from Mime. Going ahead and connect back over towards Zenith, but it's going to be Soniqs to go ahead and finish that one off, taking down Shoot to Kill in 6th position. Soniqs now going to start to make a little bit of an advancement back over towards the center themselves, as we have Soniqs back over towards the center, Zenith in the high ground. It's going to be Illusion playing pretty close to them, kind of at the foothills from their point. Hardships to the west of that, and Comets still in a very comfortable complex.
He's looking on this circle coming in. Loeb's actually landing some really good shots up onto Punich there, hoping we're going to be able to get that res off, because we've already talked about how good their spot is up on top of the rocks there. Actually, Loeb's giving his position away there. Top Dog and Woe are going to come over and try and force him off of this angle at least. Maybe not going to overcommit to it, but again, that new circle posting, I hate to bang on about it now, but Zenith are the kings of the hill. They have complete oversight from that rock into the entirety of this new circle. So really good opportunity for this duo to clutch up here, Shimboy and Punich. Soniqs down on the south side. They're probably going to wait for Comets to come out of the compound. I do have a crate down. Actually, H1 and Tiggleton opted not to go. Oh, yeah, it's just on the side of the hill. Yeah, that's a moody crate. I'm sure you understand that reference.
Oh,
Most of the
yeah.
chat won't, but that's definitely a moody crate.
That's an old reference coming out there. Zenith having a little bit of attention woes right now. While they have themselves a strong point, they've been harassing a lot. And you can see every single team going for any peak that they can. Comets Monty going to go ahead and hop on the bike, roll right along on this point. Good positioning if he can manage to establish it. And yes, does manage to get a little bit of a read ahead of the Soniqs, who look like they were kind of eyeing that point. The rest of the team now probably going to be the rest of the Comets trying to creep up back behind this. Hardships, though, starting to slowly encroach back up, right up next to Illusion's positioning. I do like the point where we can see Light Show is kind of playing from. The problem with it is he doesn't have a lot of angles to really look at the approach coming through. They're kind of banking on allowing Zenith to protect them. And whenever these vehicles, specifically these motorcycles, just zipping up the hillside, it's not giving Zenith a lot of time to react.
Now, I'm going to plant a seed here. That bait with the bike from Monty might actually be the game-winning play. If Comets can hold on to this position now, hold that thought for the time being. Hardshift's actually coming all the way onto the top of Illusion here. Chubba going to fall initially. Top Dog landing the headshot with the M4. And Zenith now peeking over the top. They know this push is coming through. They now have a really good opportunity to shut down Hardshift. Punich gets J-Sang down. Loeb's trying to tuck himself underneath him, but they will fall. Hardshift's out in 5th place now. Zenith getting more value from this high ground position.
They've got 7 kills. They're running a little bit low on ammo, as you can see. That's a little bit of the downside of positioning. You don't really get to pick up any of the loot for any of the kills or any of the harassment that you have. You got great positioning. Now it's just more kind of like attrition. They need to make sure to make every single bullet count. Soniqs now starting to creep back over towards the east as everybody is in the northern part of the circle. It does shift a little bit back down towards the south. Sonic's still going to be in a good spot, as well as Comets. It's really going to be Illusion having to move, and Illusion in a little bit of trouble here as grenades are going to rain down right next to them. We got to play this a little bit more carefully. Sonic's still just trying to make sure that they maintain firing lines back over towards Zenith. Illusion's still just trying to creep back over through this angle right now. Comets do have a nice little bit of a split down below them, but it's kind of becoming a separated fight. This high ground where we can see Zenith becoming a big factor inside of it, allowing teams to get much closer to each other and just kind of peek back over different sides of this hill to take a couple of pot shots at each other.
And definitely got to be selective here with where they want to shoot towards. I'm worried, really, if they try and take another fight in this, they're not going to have anything for the end game at all. So
I'm more concerned that the circle's they're right on the edge of this zone.
Yeah.
And so they're going to have to move, and it's going to be a dangerous drop.
I mean, they should have been, with Mime and H-Wing coming all the way over to the east, that kind of stops them from punishing onto Tiggleton and Shrimsy inside. So they are opting to push towards Illusion instead.
Yeah, I mean, I like
to get any more here, but
see if maybe they can take a couple of shots. Illusion is going to have to move back along that angle. Zenith still has their high ground for now. Good shot's going to connect onto it. Looking back over, see if we can get a second one. And there we go. That's Shinboy showing up for him. Trying to get the taps in. Make sure to collect every single point they can. Now dropping down to 50 bullets. Punich does go down. Got to be a little bit careful off of that one. Light Show still just holding up by himself. Comets try to step up into it, and Lada's going to regret that decision. Show still got his back against that wall, trying to lay down for as long as he can. Comets still just playing down a low ground point. The whole time this is going on, though, Soniqs are just moving into control points to just dominate the circle as these fights end up. It's just a spattering of damaged people clinging to this hillside right now, and Soniqs moving into aggressive positioning to catch them as they have to move.
Yeah, actually, Shinboy still able to get a lot of damage onto Comets here. And just like that, Soniqs will push up. They will clean it up. 8 kills in the chicken dinner here. You see some slow positioning through that